There was dancing, fireworks, and a ballistic missile launch. North Korea brought in the new year not just with festivities, but also by firing what it called its super large multiple rocket launcher. Officials showed off the systems on Saturday, capping a 6-day meeting of the ruling Workers' Party in which they laid out their goals for 2023. Kim Jong-un said 30 such systems were ready to be deployed to, quote, overwhelm the enemy, South Korea. Pyongyang also warned it would significantly increase the production of tactical nuclear weapons.
A mid-afternoon spectacle at the famous Gold Coast theme park. Families wave to passengers on a SeaWorld Joy flight. But this chopper is on a collision course and only seconds after takeoff is clipped by another helicopter. One of the aircraft sent plummeting onto the water's edge and was split apart, the other making an emergency landing on a sandbank in the middle of the Broadwater.
In the water!
Get back! Oh my God! Is someone bringing the police?
Boaters and beachgoers trying to help those trapped in the overturned wreckage before authorities swamped the island. 4 people couldn't be saved.
As locals rang in the new year, at least 9 people died in a shopping mall stampede in Uganda's capital. Many people, including a 10-year-old child, suffocated to death as crowds rushed to see a New Year's firework display and got stuck, said local police. The celebrations to welcome in 2023 were the first in the East African country in 3 years, after restrictions linked to the COVID-19 pandemic and security issues.
Well, at least 2 people were killed after the Israeli Air Force allegedly carried out a strike on the Damascus International Airport. Syria's state news agency reporting that 2 others were wounded in the attack that left the airport out of service. But the UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reporting that 4 people were killed, among them 2 soldiers. A source in the military saying that the air attack was, quote, barrages of missiles targeting the airport and its surrounding areas.
Scuffles broke out at the port of Tripoli in northern Lebanon, as people gathered, seeking news of their relatives who'd just been rescued as their boat capsized. More than 200 people in total, reportedly headed for Italy. They were rescued by the Lebanese army and UN peacekeepers. 2 people, a woman and a child, both from Syria, reportedly died in the incident. Most of those aboard were Syrians who'd fled the war back home and settled in neighboring Lebanon. But there were also around 50 Lebanese nationals.
Newly sworn-in President Luiz Inacio Lula da Silva walked up the ramp of the presidential palace, flanked by members of Brazil's diverse society, including an indigenous leader, a black woman, a disabled man, a child, and a rubbish collector. It was a symbolic gesture. They shared the task of bestowing Lula the presidential sash, in lieu of outgoing President Jair Bolsonaro, who refused to recognize his successor.
Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara Saturday sought to reassure families of soldiers held in Mali, saying the 46 men would return home soon. His comments come after diplomatic exchanges between Abidjan and Bamako to secure the troops' freedom. The soldiers who have been in Malian detention since July were sentenced by a military court on Friday to 20 years in prison. They were found guilty of treason after a 2-day trial.